Hi, I'm up here under the original dome of the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore. This was the dome that was originally constructed in 1817 that was covered over by a barrel vaulted ceiling in 1893 in an attempt to address some of the acoustic problems. Why am I up here in this dark and dusty and a little bit spooky space? Well, I'm here in an attempt to make a connection, to develop a metaphor for faith formation. Because faith is not some monolithic thing, something that just is. No, it's something that is developed over time, that is layered like the ceiling. What happens in faith formation is that one experience, one learning is layered on top of another. And sometimes those experiences and those thoughts are complementary, but sometimes they're in conflict. That's how faith formation works. It's not the building of something that will always be true for all times. No, faith formation is about shaping change itself. It's about creating something that is living, that is changing. It's more like giving birth to a living being rather than creating a solid structure that will never change over time. Let me show you a little bit more about what I mean. This is the sanctuary at First Unitarian. This is where worship happens every Sunday morning and where it's happened for almost 200 years. For many people, this is where faith formation begins. Maybe it's during a worship service when they're inspired by the beauty of the music. Or maybe it's during a sermon when the words spark some new thought. In fact, in this pulpit, a little less than 200 years ago, a man named William Ellery Channing gave a sermon that got a lot of people thinking differently about their faith. But that's just the beginning. Come with me. What? Here we are in the Enoch Pratt Parish Hall. A lot of great things happen in this space, including adult faith formation. Here is where small groups meet to talk about the history of Unitarian Universalism and our principles and our sources. Here is where classes meet to talk about racism and the new Jim Crow and discuss how to dismantle the structures that uphold racism today. Here is where people come to talk about death and dying and how to live a purposeful life. And here is where every Sunday morning people gather and talk one-on-one over coffee about the things that matter in their lives, because that's faith formation too. Here's one of the classrooms where children's religious education happens. This is where teachers help to establish a foundation for lifelong spiritual seeking. This is where children begin to learn that they are ultimately responsible for their own learning, but always in a community of love and care. This is the youth room. And you can see that the youth group has been working on their own mission statement, their own statement of purpose. Be pistachios, not walnuts. That means don't be all closed up in your hard shell, but be open to new experiences and new learnings. Be courageously open. That's faith formation in action. Here we are out on the street where faith formation meets activism. where we live our faith in what we do and what we say, where we extend the change from what happens within to what happens in the outside world. And as you can see, not everybody likes change, but we keep on fighting. You see that guy up there? He's called the Angel of Truth. Above his head are the words, "God is one." That's a reminder of our Christian Unitarian heritage. But our faith hasn't been stagnant because we became Unitarian Universalist. And some of us are Christian, but some of us are Jewish, some are pagan, some are Buddhist, some are atheist, some are some combination of all these things or none of the above. Because that's the point. Our faith keeps changing. And as our individual faiths change, the larger faith itself changes. Because this may look like an old, cold stone building, but the secret of the matter is, it's alive.